Hello everyone, this is In-Game Arts with another boxing of the offline product game review. This is Forgive Me Father for the PlayStation 4, but being played and tested on my PlayStation 5. To jump right into it, this physical copy here is just a base vanilla version of the game, so the on-disc version is 1.0. Now sadly there was an update available. This update size was 450 megabytes big and will take you to version 1.04 since the time I make this video. Now like always, I play all my games completely offline with an unregistered account, and my experience was not the greatest. There was a lot of issues and a lot of problems that I will go into more details eventually in the video, but I did manage to beat the game. As well, I was still unlocking trophies with my unregistered account. Now the update history talks about some of the issues that were fixed. They don't mention a few other ones. They maybe have just been replaced by version 1.01, 1.02 and so forth, and maybe they didn't include that in the update history. But I'm hoping that a lot of these issues were fixed through the update. Again, I know I probably should have run through the game again to fix it, but and again, I don't really play with updates, so I'm not really interested. If it's not on the disc, it doesn't matter to me whether they fixed it or not. But I go ahead and go into it. This is a boomer shooter, if you're not aware. Forgive Me Father is just this tried and true boomer shooter where it's a very Doom-esque kind of style play with a little bit of touch of H.P. Lovecraft, which I was very much interested in because I really love H.P. Lovecraft kind of aesthetic and designs, and it's just that cosmic kind of horror and Cthulhu kind of stuff. Well, at the beginning of the game, you get to pick either the female or the male, which is like a priest or the journalist, and each one has their own stats, like abilities and so forth, which that's basically the only thing that separates them. They get the same guns and equipment and play through the same levels, and for what I gather, they pretty much have the same story. It's just they have different, of course, voice lines and, of course, different kind of skills, abilities, points, and stuff. Now, in my personal opinion, I ran through the game as the journalist, the female, and I don't recommend it. What little I've played of the priest character, he is largely better in his dialogue than the female journalist character. I don't know what they were trying to go with the female journalist character, like make her like I guess the best way to describe it, a rough, tough, badass kind of girl. I don't know, certain dialogues were just cringy and awkward and very just... I don't know what they were going with the certain dialogue exchanges with the character. But the priest was a lot more enjoyable in my personal opinion, a lot more better usable abilities than the female character, the journalist, and that is a bit of disappointment since the game does have two characters. There is no co-op mode or anything like that, which is I think is a huge missed opportunity to have like kind of split screen opportunity with two characters at the same time. But as again, you play as one of these characters and you're trying to find your uncle at the beginning of the game, trying to figure out what's going on, and eventually you get dove deeper and deeper into the world of H.P. Lovecraft, Cthulhu kind of stuff. You tried and true gameplay of boomer shooter, go around blasting, shooting, find secret rooms, find upgrades, and so on and so forth. The thing that does break up with in terms of boomer shooters is that there is a skill tree system where you can upgrade your guns and your equipment and your abilities and so on and so forth, and it is very interesting and engaging for what they did. But that's pretty tried and true. If you're going into Forgive Me Father, just expect your tried and true boomer shooter with a touch of little skill upgrading stats and stuff like that. But I don't want to make this video too long because I do have a lot to go over, and that is all the problems I had with the game. First off, I even wrote a lot of this down. There was a slight stutter in the game, where every time you would switch your gun after the game load up a new map or anything like that, the game would stutter every single time you switch through your guns. The first time you switch through it. So every time you load up a new level or go into a new level, make sure you cycle through all your weapons in the game, because every time the first time you load up, they'll stutter every single gun, so just make sure you do that. As well, there was stuttering in the game when more enemies were spawning or attacking and stuff like that. Significant stuttering. No frame rate drops, a little bit of frame rate drops in certain specific areas, but mostly it was just stuttering. As well as I did have in the third level in the rooftops, there was a orb of light that's borderline blinding in certain segments. The second time I ran through it with this priest, it wasn't as bad when I went through this journalist, but it was so blinding. It was like a reflective lighting glaring in your eyes. I was managed to beat the level, but boy oh boy, it made certain segments hard to be able to see. Next, this is a big one. There is a special gun in the game called the Tormentor. This gun is like a special gun that when you pick it up, you got to use the gun to get rid of it. It's kind of like, think of like a, I don't know, like the turret from Halo or something like that. You pick it up, you unload all the ammo, and then you drop it. Well, sadly, every time you shoot the Tormentor, like you pull the trigger to shoot it, it crashes the game every single time. I checked it with the priest and the journalist. Every time you pick up that gun and shoot it, it crashes the game. Luckily, this gun is not mandatory or necessary, but sadly the part is when you pick up this gun, you can't drop it or switch out your gun. So if you accidentally pick that gun up, you have to you're screwed. You're gonna have to shoot and crash your game, or just reload from your last save and make sure you don't pick up. But thankfully, there's no segment in the entire game where you're required to use the Tormentor to progress. Next one is that when you're picking a level or loading up a level and stuff like that, or the game's loading, there's a slight freeze, like nothing's going on. You'll think the game's crashing or froze or something like that. Don't panic. Some reason, I guess they were still working on the loading, and like the loading gauge won't move. Don't freak out about that. It's just loading up. But boy, it makes you think the game froze. Okay, don't want to stay on to this too long. The first boss has some attack issues where his attacks will not register, where it would like hit the ground, but there's no attack on the ground. You see a little bit of light, and that's about it. And it's very hard to tell where like an explosion's going to happen. You would have to play the boss to see what I'm talking about, but there's a big issue with the first boss. As well as there's issues with the boss's life as well for every boss. The max life is bigger than what they show, so the gauge won't move as you're attacking them. Eventually it will drop down, but at the beginning you won't like see the life drop down. So don't panic. Just keep shooting them. Eventually their life will start going down. Okay. Let's see. Every time you pause the game's music will restart or stop. So, like, let's say if you're having a heavy metal going on and you hit the pause button and re-unpause, the heavy music's gone. Or the music will re-loop itself and restart all over. Next one, there was a water monster that would pop out of the water. Sometimes this monster would not pop out of the water, so you just get smacked out of nowhere. Thankfully, there's a little black puddle that moves around. You can use explosive rounds to blow them up before they hop out, if they do bug out for you. Enemy spawn sometimes cause the game to lag and jump and stutter and everything like that, especially more so in the wave or horde mode in the game. So don't even bother messing with that, because every time a new horde would come up, a new wave, the whole game would just start stuttering for every enemy it starts loading up. Very just bad. I got next thing here is the female voice lines. I talked about that. Her voice lines are not very good. I'm not getting on the voice actor. Sometimes it's not the voice actor's fault. Sometimes it's just it's what they have to work with. And this poor girl got some of the most like cringiest and awkward moment dialogues I've seen in a while. I did beat the game with the journalist. I did not unlock New Game Plus. I don't know how to get on New Game Plus. I went online and people just said, beat the game, you got New Game Plus. So I don't know why I beat it with journalists and I still couldn't access New Game Plus. So I don't know what's going on with that. Alright, that's pretty much everything I got written down here. As you can tell, the game is broken. This is basically a beta version of the game. It is beatable. You can beat it offline without having to download this 450 megabyte update, but in the end, it's just frustrating. This is clearly a beta version of the game, and there's a lot of issues. It's good that you can still beat it, so that's not terrible, but you're not going to have the most greatest experience. But let's pull out real quick. Let's say none of these bugs existed. Let's just say this game fully 100% worked and there was no updates or anything like that, which would have been nice, but let's just say, hypothetically, the game is alright. It's a very average boomer shooter. There's nothing really new in its design. I was a little disappointed, actually, in its music. While I love the music, it's hard rock metal. And while that is good, I don't know if that really fits the theme for H.P. Lovecraft. I don't know, it just doesn't really fit to me. As well as that gameplay, it's just your typical boomer shooter. The skills obviously have some questionable design choices and stuff like that. There's clearly better equipment and upgrading in the skill tree. At no point did I really felt like that I made the wrong choice in certain areas. Thankfully, there is a reset. You can spend a point to reset the skills. You can only get one reset every boss you fight. But it's just, I don't know. It didn't impress me all that much. I'm a boomer shooter, a fanatic. I love them. So I still had fun with this game. If you're a big fan of boomer shooters, you're still going to enjoy this game. But you're not going to go in this like something new and fresh. Graphically, the game looks good. It plays smoothly and good as well. And it was a good progression through the game. Though, like I said, just I wish maybe a little better design in the weapons and stuff like that. The skill system could have really used some little rework. And like I said, the journalist, the female character, her voice lines, and some of her abilities is nowhere near as good as the priest's. And there's just certain weapons that are largely better than others for certain situations. In the end, if you're a fan of boomer shooters, maybe look into it. But if you're not, with all the bugs and issues and problems I ran through and everything like that, and nothing really new about the game, It could be a very easy pass for you if you have to spend big buku bucks for the physical copy. I don't recommend it. But if you can find a copy, maybe check it out if you can. But in the end, I had fun, but I definitely would have, of course, enjoyed it more if it worked and had a weapon wheel. Why it does not have a weapon wheel is beyond me. I preached about this multiple times. You have multiple weapons you have to cycle through. Have a weapon wheel. Even if it's on PC, have a weapon wheel. But at the end of the day, thank you all so much for watching. I will try to leave links down in the description if you're interested in the copy. This is only available in the PAL region. There is a Switch version as well. And it doesn't seem like they made too many print copies, so it may become quite rare. Hopefully we may see another print run to have the updates on disc to fix this little issues. Because at the end of the day, even though it's not anything really explosively new in the boomer shooter and it didn't really amaze me all that much, I still played it. It's still fun, and I did beat Cthulhu and did all the things and enjoyed the mechanics and gameplay, and just the artistic design was good and everything. It's just, I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more touch-in, more of the H.P. Lovecraft horror, if you will. But overall, it's a good boomer shooter. It does what it does for the boomer shooter genre. So like always, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all in my next unboxing video. Bye-bye!